Shalom, shalom. It's Brother Abba, your buff in the DC Church, coming at you, giving all praise, glory, and honor to Yahweh, Shema, Shah, Bashim, Kwakadash, Yahweh being the Heavenly Father, Yahweh Shai, being whom the world ignorantly calls Jesus Christ, Bashim, in the name, recall many spirit, Kudash, many holy. These are the names and the powers that I come to you in order to profess the 100% truth, and Lord's will seal the elect's faith. Shen Yukabag, Gawala Rakaza, claim never ith, meaning double wellness to the elders and apostles of GMS in these times, whom the Heavenly Father had enlisted the 100% truth to, and Shalom, wa Barakum, Labakar, and Shasha Allah, peace and blessings be upon the elect of the nation of Israel. And to the men out there that's pushing this word in sincerity and in truth, to you I say Shalom, wa Barakum, my thumb, peace and blessings be upon you. Now, without further ado, I just wanted to go kind of do a prophecy watch video and just go over some details of how foundational and how important the power grid, America's power grid is, because America is being sustained by natural resources and by just electricity in its entirety. America needs electricity in order for it to operate, in order for it to run, in order for it to essentially just process from day to day. And a lot of electricity is being used and utilized on a day-to-day basis. And America is also running out of resources to continue to produce the same amount of energy. So just like America amongst other countries, they're looking to go more into more sustainable, or taking more methods of energy sustaination, and looking to really kind of conserve a lot of energy. And really what it means by energy is resources that would produce energy. So, which we can also do a little bit of research on that too. What natural resources are utilized to produce energy. And I think a lot of it's like oil and I forgot what other minerals, but nevertheless, I don't want to speak in ignorance. This is kind of wrapped around the concept of how long would it take after the grid is down, or how long would the grid be down for, or how long could the grid be down for before all out chaos starts to ensue in America. And that was the question I kind of asked. So I said, in the event that the power went out in America, how long would it take for chaos to erupt? And how important is the power grid to America as far as sustainability, right? And it says, short answer, the power grid is absolutely critical to modern life in the U.S., and serious disruptions would start within hours, not days. But full chaos depends on how widespread and how long these outages last. So you could have, across the board, if America went into a blackout and, all power grids were down, there would be an immediate reaction within minutes to an hour from the people of discomfort, and also it would ramp up a lot of spirits for them to do things, for people to do things that they've always wanted to do, as far as wickedness, as far as seizing and taking things that they want. You would have a lot of crash outs. You have a lot of crash outs basically going to and fro to these stores. Some people getting designer, getting TVs, and, people going to auto shops and going to car dealerships and just taking what they want because the power grid is down. So if the power grid is down, then the landline is down, and then police can't be called. And there's a lot of things are regulated by the power. All right. Which makes sense. So it says how fast things would break down, right? It says within minutes to 2 hours, traffic lights fails, accidents, and gridlocks. So a lot of course, traffic lights. People are not capable. These Americans are not even capable of driving moderately with regulations in the streets. So how much more not having regulations at all? Okay. It says cell towers and internet begins degrading. It says they have limited battery backup, right? So, on top of that, you got to understand, if these things are being utilized, it's only but so much people that can be on one bandwidth. So, you'll probably have a whole bunch of calls being, that's going to cause a lot of disruptances. So everybody trying to call somebody to get in contact with somebody to see if they're safe and so on and so forth. So it says water systems may lose pressure if pumps stop. And it says electronic payments stop. Cash becomes essential. All right. Now, that's part of the reason why when this does pop off, the elites are looking to be in a position to where, these devices are inside of you so that you could still be sustained during an event of a power grid loss, right? So it says within 6 to 24 hours, grocery stores and gas stations can't operate normally. People rush to buy essentials. Panic buying begins, which will definitely happen. And then on top of that, in the event of panic buying and the power grid's down, people are going to have to use cash. Not going to be able to do these biometric payments, right? So it says people rush to buy essentials, probably like canned goods, paper towels, tissue, the toiletries. These are all probably going to definitely be swept off the shelves. Formula, baby food, and what have you. It says hospitals switch to generators, but fuel is limited. So you're going to have a lot of people going into the hospitals. And there are some people who are bedridden or who are in the hospital and are being sustained by the hospital that are probably going to fucking die, right? And it says fuel pumps at gas stations often don't work without power. So it says after 1 to 3 days, refrigerated food spoils, clean water access becomes unreliable in some areas, sewage systems may fail. Going to be a lot of clogged toilets, man. It says law enforcement and emergency service becomes strained. And you got to prepare yourself for this because this is definitely going to happen, all right? It's hard to fathom, but, this is definitely going to happen, and it's going to happen in our lifetime, all right? So it's a lot. It goes to say, law enforcement and emergency services become strained, right? Because you're gonna have so many events happening in one moment where you're having people dying over here, you got brazen niggas over here, then you got people. The demons are gonna come out. The freaks are gonna come out. It's gonna be a lot of things happening all in one time. All right. It says from 3 to 7 days plus. It says supply chains break down, no restocking of food, fuel, or medicine. Shortages of essentials become widespread. Civil unrest becomes more likely in dense populated areas, right? So chaos isn't instant, but serious societal stress starts within 24 to 72 hours. It only takes 3 days. It only takes 3 days, which isn't a long time, and it's going to feel like forever, especially when the power grid goes down, right? It says if power isn't restored. How important is the power grid? The United States power grid is one of the most important pieces of infrastructure in the country. It says it underpins almost everything. Food supply, farms rely on power irrigation processing, and transport. Grocery stores depend on refrigeration and logistical systems, right? Water and sanitation, right? It says clean water requires electrical pumps and treatment plants. Wastewater systems also depend on electricity. Healthcare, hospitals rely on power for life support systems, surgeries, and medicines, right? Or medications. Backup generators are temporary, not long-term solutions, right? And during this time when the elites allow these things to transpire, they're going to give you every excuse to not be able to help in that time. So those backup generators, they're probably going to tell you don't work. And again, this is just going to be all out case of chaos. But again, these things have to happen in order for us to get to our desired place, which is the kingdom of heaven, right? So it says communication, internet, phones, broadcasting all require electricity. Without them, coordination and emergency response degrade quickly. And that's all these people are looking for, you know, a stop on the emergency response. And I do believe that they're, you know, the elite are definitely going to do a test run before they do the full thing, you know, just like how they did with C-19. So these are things that we got to look and we got to steer clear for. All right. And they want to bring up one precept before I bring up this video. Salakia. 58. There's Isaiah chapter 58, verse 1. It says, cry aloud, spare not, lift up thy voice like a trumpet, and shew my people their transgressions, and the house of Jacob their sins, right? Yet they seek me daily and delight to know my ways as a nation that did righteousness and forsook not the ordinances of their power. They ask of me the ordinances of justice. They take delight in approaching to the Most High, right? So it's important for us to cry aloud and spare not, to lift up our voice like a trumpet, to admonish our people of what is going to happen in the future. All right. And not just in the future, but in the very near future. All right. And these things are important as far as, you know, preparation and getting ourselves right, so that when these things do happen, we already have acquainted ourselves with the mindset that it takes in order to be satiated in that time. All right. I'm thinking of wisdom and knowledge. I forgot where it's at. Hakim, please forgive me. It's in Isaiah, I think it's like 36. 33 and 6. There's Isaiah chapter 33, verse 6. It says, and wisdom and knowledge shall be the stability of thy times, and strength of salvation. The fear of the Lord is his treasure. Now, this is important because with all these things happening, people are going to ask us, well, what are we supposed to do in that day? How are you going to be in that day? Like, what? It's like, how are you going to be secured in that day? And our answer is that the wisdom and knowledge that we're storing up right now is going to be able to sustain us in those times. Now, I do want to check this out real quick to see what this says. Wisdom and knowledge and the fear of the Lord. Stability of thy times. All right. It says time, and event. Time. It says usual experiences, fortunes, occurrences, occasions. Right. So it's seasons, evening tide. Basically, you know, saying that there's going to be an event that happens, and we have to prepare for it. We have to make sure that we are prepped for that time frame. And, you know, that's the main point. I do want to grab this video real quick and kind of like just play a little bit of this.
Like the Philippines, it has been forced to declare a national energy emergency today, a first since the COVID pandemic. The country's president, Ferdinand Marcos Jr., announced it himself. He said the Philippines faces immediate danger of low energy supply.
President Ferdinand Marcos Jr. announced that he'd signed an executive order to safeguard energy security amid severe disruptions to global supply chains. He warned of the imminent threat posed by the US-Israel war against Iran to his country's fuel supply. The Philippines is dependent on fuel imports, making it particularly vulnerable to disruptions in production and shipping.
In Japan, Prime Minister Sanai Takaichi has ordered the release of national oil reserves to stabilize supply and prevent domestic shortages. Tokyo is also coordinating with global partners to tap into joint stockpiles, signaling just how seriously advanced economies are treating the supply shock.
To secure the adequate amount of petroleum products that is needed nationwide in Japan, we began releasing private sector petroleum reserves on March 16th, and will start releasing national reserves from this week, March 26th. Furthermore, the release of jointly held reserves with oil-producing countries is also scheduled to begin within March.
Hello, parents. If you live in Reston,
Fair use. You know, I do want to put that out there, but fair use. So you can see how some of these leading countries are starting to fall into a realm of, preservation, because the earth is not yielding forth.
Herndon,
Let me
Vienna area.
1 second.
Please pay.
Well, across Asia.
the earth is not yielding forth the it's not yielding forth as much resources as it did before. All right. The earth is hurt, you know, and the earth is tired. It's tired of having this ruler, this individual who claims he's a ruler, this very unrighteous ruler, rule over it. So now these nations are looking into more of energy efficient things to do, like so it's going into solar powering, which truly, honestly, I don't know why, that wasn't a prominent thing to begin with. But hey, I guess maybe these natural resources yield more power. I'm not really sure about the intricacies behind that, which that's something I will do my own research on, because this is really an ongoing topic. The power grid is a very important topic, and it's just as important as the finances of a nation. Okay.
The impact of the Iran war is unfolding in real time. Apart from the Philippines and Japan, countries across Asia are reeling under the fuel supply shock due to the Iran war. In Vietnam, fuel prices are surging sharply, adding pressure on households and businesses. Sri Lanka is once again facing power cuts as shortages deepen. Pakistan is also facing a similar crisis, where a severe LNG shortage is raising fears of power blackouts within the next 10 days. Bangladesh has hiked jet fuel costs, raising concerns for aviation and trade. Meanwhile, Myanmar has imposed nationwide fuel rationing, highlighting just how widespread and severe this energy issue has become. India, one of the most critical economic powerhouses in the region, is weathering the situation. The government in New Delhi has said there is no crisis of fuel as of now, as it works to secure India's energy supplies through the Strait of Hormuz.
At North Ride, no ride. The billboard's blank, the taps are off, and everyone's feeling a little empty.
It's ridiculous, isn't it?
As this fuel crisis starts to stare Sydney in the face.
Very worrying.
Statewide, 59 service stations tonight sit empty. More than 200 have no diesel, and more than 300 have a limited range of unleaded. At this Shell site in Cromer, fuel rationing. A 50-litre limit with a ban on tanks and cans. Sydney hasn't seen anything like it in any real way since 1979.
Bloody ridiculous, mate. Can't believe it.
I'm not going to last very long in this car.
Some are paying much more. As others hoard at home.
Panic buying and stockpiling and petrol hoarding.
Call it what you will, as many call it out in mock viral videos.
You gotta be kidding me, mate.
If the energy situation worsens, those restrictions will extend to private vehicles as well. South Korea is also restarting nuclear reactors to raise power generation.
Yeah, because you gotta understand, again, it's a slippery slope. So if you're trying to conserve energy, or if you're trying to conserve petrol, it's gonna leak over into other things like that will affect people in the economy, as far as, goods, resources, medicine, so on and so forth. These things need to be transported from one place to another in order for it to be accessible to your everyday American. This isn't Sydney, but again, these problems start off in the East and they land in the West. That's how it always happens. Just like how C-19 did. All right. But the fact of the matter is that just because it's happening in the East don't mean it's not going to come here. And in America, there's a lot of comfortability, man. People feel comfortable. And you start seeing these prices hike up. It's starting to get real for these Negroes, man. So, again, everything is chain linked. These things are happening on the East. It's going to land on the West, all right?
And it has eased its own limits on coal use in power plants, a measure it had previously stepped back from on environmental grounds. The crisis forced a reversal.
Right, I don't know if brothers remember, but there was a shortage of gas. I forgot the reason why. It was a couple years back. Might have been like 2 or 3 years back. I just forgot when. And I remember watching this video and seeing an Asian lady. She man, she tried to put gas inside of a plastic bag, man. She tried to put gas inside of a plastic bag. She was putting gas inside of a little plastic bag out the store. It's like, man, you're an idiot. But again, when things like this start to transpire, you're gonna start seeing people move in really, really strange ways. All right. This video is really good. I would have heavily advised brothers watching it on their own. It's called Breaking Worldwide. Lockdowns Have Begun. If you haven't subscribed to Jason A, I would say that you should do so, because there's a lot of information that he provides within his page, just like clips and what have you, that I feel like are good, especially if you're not an avid news watcher. You could definitely get some details on what's going on in the world from this dude's page. Not advocating for him. I don't know who to do this, but the information is solid and it checks out. So that's really all I had on this topic. You know, stay aware, stay alert, and keep a watch for these different avenues of how this beast is going to be collapsed, or it's going to collapse. All right. So with that, I give all praise, glory, and honor to Yahweh Bashim Al Shai, Bashim Kakadash, Shenya Kabag, Gawala Rakaz, Kodim Naba Aithum Shalom, Wabarakum Labakan, Shal, until next time, I say Shalom.